pull up the slides.
You are live. You're good.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Good afternoon, this is Melanie Rackley speaking. Our next applicant will be Jordan Lake Charter School. So we have the map up on the screen. Jordan Lake Charter is slated for their location in eastern Chatham County. So you'll see here that actually part of the eastern Chatham actually shares some zip codes with Wake County as well. So what you see based upon what was submitted in the application are schools within a 6-mile radius on that eastern part of the state. But a lot of the application does mention Chatham County's significant Hispanic population, Siler City being the most populous town in Chatham County, also with the highest Hispanic population. So what I did, because their location is not yet been released, I basically gave you mapping of the easternmost part of Chatham County and then the populous area of Siler City. So you'll see those schools there. But again, eastern Chatham does border with Wake County and a significant part of that layout. So if we can go on to the next slide. Okay. Jordan Lake Charter School is again in Chatham County, based upon the submitted application in year 1. You're looking at K-5, 450 enrollment projection. Year 2, K-5, 500. Year 3, K-5, 550. Year 4, K-5, 600. And then capacity, year 5, K-5, 600 enrollment. Capacity would be reached at year 4 based upon these numbers. However, the board has submitted new enrollment projections. They were submitted 11/17, so they will be able to speak to that later on in the afternoon. Jordan Lake Charter School will participate in the National Lunch Program. They will provide transportation to their student body. They will, this says weighted lottery, no. The facility has not been identified. There is not an LEA impact on file. They are a repeat applicant, and they are not using the assistance of an EMO or CMO. At the time of the application submission, their application was deemed complete. And so right now what I will do is allow Jordan Lake Charter Schools Board to make their opening statements, making sure to include a brief bio, followed by opening up and allowing Chair Quigley to take the lead on that upon completion of the opening statement. So right now, I'll just go ahead and turn it over to Jordan Lake Charter Schools Board.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank your Charter School Advisory Board for inviting us to this interview, and the staff at the Office of Charter School helping us prepare our application and this interview. Particularly thanks to Dr. Darren Jones and Dave Machulo's leadership. Here with me today is our board members. Dr. Ken Branch received Doctor of Education Leadership from UNC Chapel Hill and NC State. John Norwood received degree banking from UNC Chapel Hill. Jim Laster received a master's degree in public administration from NC State. Rich Trodan received a master's degree in business administration from Campbell University. Fiona Wang received a Doctor of Law from Missouri University and a master's degree of International Business, Ohio University. Dr. Greg Bond received a Doctor of Industrial Psychology from the University of Tennessee and a master's degree of Theology Study from Harvard University. My name is Joseph Dao. I'm the board chairman and the executive director at the Jordan Lake Charter School. I was born in China, graduated from college in civil engineering, and then went to Canada for grad school. In 1999, our family moved to North Carolina, so I could work with Merrill Lynch. In 2002, I left Merrill Lynch to open my own risk management consulting firm. Our firm launched the first ever statewide community college student health care plan in the country by providing an affordable group health plan for all 58 community college students in our state. In 2010, our firm was named the Healthcare Hero by Triangle Business Journal. Many times, I have had people ask me, Joseph Lau, why do you want to be involved with the charter school? I tell folks, before I can answer you this question, let me tell you a little bit about my family. I have 2 young daughters. They both went to public school. One is a former Googler, kind of working with Slack as their staff engineer. The younger one just graduated from UNC Wilmington. She's now Associate Project Manager at the Digital Lab at American Express in New York City. Raising my 2 girls in public school, I saw in my own eye how important to have a teacher who recognize each child's unique potential and the one who can unlock child's passion for learning. President John Kennedy famously said, "A child miseducated is a child lost." It is our mission at the Jordan Lake Charter School to provide rigorous, personalized, and nurturing experience where all children can unlock their potential. We often hear people talk about upward mobility and education equality. Parents talk about children's dream of working in Silicon Valley with tomorrow's Google or Facebook. As a parent, we all want our children to have better lives than us. The promise of American dream, I believe no American dream can be achieved without solid early childhood education. It is our mission to provide all children at the Jordan Lake Charter School with such an opportunity. With that, I will now turn to Dr. Greg Bond and the rest of our board members, who will introduce themselves. Jerry Gallier could not attend this meeting due to personal reasons and sent his regret. Now, Dr. Greg Bond.
Hello, this is Greg. I hope somebody will confirm you can hear me okay.
Hear you fine, Greg. Thank you.
Okay, very good. This board brings diverse complementary skills with backgrounds in nonprofits and education. We really assembled this board for launching, but we will continue to evolve and grow the board's representation of the community that we're going to serve. Apologies, first off, our application did understate our personal credentials, as each of us now will correct that, so you'll know just how strong this board is. Personally, I have been chair of a nonprofit preschool, as mentioned, but also textbook author, professor, researcher at Harvard Business School, the son of teachers, married to a 3rd grade teacher, father of 6 who coached all sorts of rec league sports over 3 decades. Also, professionally, I'm owner of a 200-acre cattle ranch, a trucking company serving agribusiness. But more importantly, I've served special populations and needy families as CEO of our state's largest community health center since 2001. I've launched over 30 new medical facilities serving impoverished communities, and along the way dealt with many government agencies, HRSA, DHHS, USDA, the Office of Rural Health, and scores of universities and hospitals. Vice President Joe Biden visited and called Goshen a model center and the best example in the country of leveraging federal money in a rural environment. We will build a successful executive team and motivate our staff to serve this mission. This board has worked tirelessly for 3 years to build relations and ensure success of this community school, and we will continue to work for a very positive impact in Chatham County. We will embody your core values of integrity, teamwork, and collaboration, diversity, excellence, and accountability. We have a holistic approach. It's going to address social, emotional, mental, behavioral, and physical needs of students as follows. K-8 education and a positive learning culture. Foundational education that challenges students to reach full potential. School lunches and transportation to meet students' needs. Access to primary health care, very uniquely, with integrative services for students and families. Financial stability and transparency will be achieved to provide accountability, and most importantly, cultural diversity designed in to build character and mutual respect among all. We know of no other charter school with such a holistic aspirations, but we are not just dreaming. We have specific, achievable plans with partners in place to help. Before our other school board members speak to convince you of this fact, again, apologies, our application wrongly reported the plans for total grades and enrollment. We will launch with K through 5 with 100 students per grade and then grow from 600 in year 1 to an enrollment of 900 by year 4 with a student-teacher ratio of 17-1. We will grow after launch by extending a grade level per year to add middle school grades. This is a safe financial strategy, but also a safe socio-emotional strategy. Why? Because kids are reluctant to leave peers by middle school, and if forced by parents, they may come resentfully and rebelliously, which we don't want at launch. Also, graduated growth enables us to establish the desired learning culture among our kids in early years when they are more impressionable, with the hopes that they'll bring positive attitudes into those tumultuous years of middle school. As our board members address you, please appreciate how we actualize your core values. Now, please hear from Dr. Kim Branch.
Dr. Branch, are you with?
I am with you. I apologize. Good afternoon, Charter Advisory Board members. My name is Dr. Kenneth Branch, and please forgive me if my mouth does not move in the same shape as the words I pronounce. I've just come from a 2-hour emergency visit to the dentist, which was not on my agenda for this day. But I am here and I am well and I'm healthy. I joined our board in January of 2020. After serving as a principal and a district level administrator for over 30 years, I retired from the Wake County Public School System several years ago. Since retiring, I have continued to serve as an interim principal and as a coach for novice principals. I've also had charter school and private school leadership experiences since retiring. My university experiences include serving as adjunct with NC State's College of Education and as the interim head of the education department at William Peace University. I would like to speak for a moment about Jordan Lake Charter School's curriculum and instruction program. Our program will support our mission statement for all students to become critical thinkers, inspired leaders, and lifelong learners as they prepare for college and the workforce. We will accomplish this by providing instruction that is in alignment with the North Carolina Standard Course of Study for all students. Our teachers will be using the Super Kids Reading Program, K2, which teaches the comprehension skills appropriate to each stage of students' reading development. We will also be using the iStation Supplemental Software Program, 3.5, to support students' reading English language arts instruction. Our teachers will use the Saxon Math Curriculum Program, K5, to align our math instruction with the NC Essential Standards and the Standard Course of Study for K through 8th grades. Saxon Math, with its 30-year proven track record, uses an incremental approach to teaching math in each grade level. The Dreambox Math Supplemental Software Program will be used to support math instruction for students K5. Dreambox content and materials are also aligned with the NC Essential Standards for all grades. Jordan Lake Charter School supports the achievement and success of our targeted Hispanic student population using the effective English as a second language instructional practices from research studies conducted by the Institute of Educational Sciences and the National Center for Education Evaluation and Regional Assistance. This would include monitoring reading and comprehension progress, small group reading interventions, and extensive vocabulary instruction. These students will be identified using the world-class instructional design and assessment screener assessment. We are excited that our school will implement the 7 mindsets of emotional social learning program to support our vision statement of helping students learn to work and explore in an understanding, supportive, and compassionate culture. The 7 mindsets are: everything is possible, passion first, we are all connected, 100% accountability, attitude of gratitude, live to give, and the time is now. Through 7 Mindsets, teachers will encourage students to discover their unique talents and align them with their personal goals. Finally, our board is committed to ensuring that Jordan Lake's administrators understand what is necessary for providing services to students with disabilities. This would include a thorough understanding of the identification, referral, and evaluation processes, verification that staff members are appropriately implementing services for students with disabilities, including modifying and adapting curriculum and instructional methodologies, accurate data collection, a broad understanding of IDEA compliance requirements, and how to respond to discipline matters. We've devoted much time and energy into researching the best tools to use to ensure our students at Jordan Lake achieve the academic expectations defined by the North Carolina Standard Course of Study, and we're eager to get to work. Thank you, and I will pass the baton to John Norwood.
Good afternoon. My name is John Norwood. I am the North Raleigh Market President for North State Bank. I will be serving as the treasurer. I've been in the banking industry more than 25 years, and one of my key responsibilities is to underwrite cash flow and budgeting for operating companies. I've also had a specific experience with providing commercial credit to a couple of local charter school customers. Having been involved in this process has helped me professionally by giving me a peek behind the curtain of the charter school world. On a personal level, the opportunity to develop critical thinkers, as mentioned in the mission statement, aligns very well with my values. Critical thinking is an essential skill for our young people to develop for future career success. Our financial management system is made up of a 3-legged stool. First of all, the operating budget. We have hired charter success partners to assist with our accounting services and the overall financial operations of the school. This highly experienced company provides similar services to about 40 other charter schools in the state. Specifically, charter success partners will provide budgeting, financial statement preparation, and day-to-day financial operations, including keeping the checkbook, as well as construction and development budgeting. We will use their tried and true financial systems. The second leg of the stool is in the audit. We understand the importance of an audit, and we felt that we needed to make those arrangements first thing. We have hired Phyllis Pearson, CPA, of Petway Mills and Pearson to conduct the school audit. She has over 30 years of working with nonprofits in North Carolina and specific experience with the education industry audits. We fundamentally understand and appreciate the requirement of an audited financial statement. Only a true unqualified financial audit completes the checks and balances necessary for transparency, clarity, and most importantly, financial longevity. The third leg of the stool is the Board of Director oversight. Ultimate oversight responsibility comes from the Board of Directors, especially and including the treasurer. We plan to listen to the advice of the Charter Success Partners and Petway Mills and Pearson. The board members were heavily involved in the creation of the budget. We have gone through the numbers and percentages together in great detail. We clearly understand that our ultimate fiscal responsibility cannot be outsourced. We're looking forward to continue to refine our financial plan and bring it into implementation as we move forward to opening the school. And now I'd like to introduce Rick Trogdon.
Good afternoon. My name is Rich Trogdon. I'm the Vice President and City Executive for First Bank in Pittsburgh, North Carolina. I'm a lifelong Chatham County.
Excuse me 1 second. I just want to pause there because we're now a couple minutes over of our introductions. How many other board members do we have to introduce themselves? Maybe you just give us the abbreviated version, because what we're going to end up doing is limiting some of the question time, and I think you probably prefer us to ask questions.
Well,
It's up to you.
I'm a lifelong Chatham County native, born and raised in Siler City. Lived in Pittsburgh for the past 12 years. I have 3 children, one in 6th grade, 4th grade, and 3rd grade. I'm actively involved in Chatham County. I've served on boards of Chatham Partnership for Children, Chatham Economic Development, and Rotarian and Kiwanis. One of the things I want to talk about is the growth that's happening in Chatham County and the possible overcrowding of schools. Currently there's 2 large developments going on in Chatham Park and Briar Chapel. And also Chatham County is home to 2 of the state's 4 mega sites, which can land the auto industry up, that could create up to 10,000 jobs. According to the North Carolina Department of Instruction from 2009 to 2019, Chatham County schools population has increased 15.2%. Even when excluding the expected growth of Chatham Park and exponential potential of landing a large industry on one of the state's mega sites, multiple Chatham County schools will exceed 105 capacity over the next 3 years. For example, Perry Harrison is expected to cross the 105 threshold by 2020 and 2021, Margaret Pollard by 2021, 2022, and Norwood High School by 2023. John McCain of Chatham County Public Relations stated that to avoid building additional new schools in our area, a number of new students could attend charter private schools. I'd like to introduce Fiona Wayne.
My name is Fiona Wong, and I am a local one of consistently with special areas of the instruction. And currently I also serve as the president of North Carolina Financial a nonprofit organization that provides support mentoring and mental for the community. I would like to contribute my legal perspective towards the role I would have to do. And personally, I'm a mom for 2 kindergarten girls who just also enrolled as a kindergartner at the private school as well. And then I was sitting down describing language as your second languages. And then I personally understand how important for the language minority students to develop their English proficiency. And that is also the passion for me going to work for a charter school, because one of the major purposes of the school is to help those EIL students develop their language at their early ages. And the school will promote this goal by hiring teachers from Participation Learning International Program, by hiring Spanish-speaking teachers to give the ESL classes for those language minority students, as well as their parents, by also inviting the minority type of parents to help involved in the decision-making of the school. I'm going to
Hi there, my name is Jamie Lassiter. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I'm the discipline person, so no one likes to talk about that anyways. So my background, I'm the executive director for the North Carolina Conference of Clerks of Superior Court. I started my career as a courtroom clerk in Wake County while getting my master's in public administration. So I bring the judicial and governmental side to the board for Jordan Lake Charter School. And I've seen both sides of working with juveniles, both directly in teen court and seeing their sentencing, and indirectly by creating school to justice partnerships across judicial districts. And I know that Chatham County is in the process of doing a school to justice partnership as we speak. And as mentioned previously, Jordan Lake Charter School's target populations, they're based on the communities it serves, and in Chatham County, including Hispanic and ESL. 31% of the population is Hispanic, and 11.7% is ESL. And additionally, 50.9% of the population falls at or below the federal poverty level in the area. And in the court system, I've seen the disparity between the impoverished youth versus those who can hire attorneys. And the same goes for the minority children. And knowing that Jordan Lake Charter School's target populations fall into these categories, my area of expertise will help build a strong school to justice partnership and collaborative model with the parents to keep them involved if needed. And the partnership is all about keeping kids in school and out of court, as well as developing strategies to help students with misconduct address it. And so hopefully we'll see reduced suspensions and referrals with this background to the justice system by stopping behavior early when and where they happen. Jordan Lake Charter School can help students succeed in school through this type of partnership and the approaches developed in our 5-year plan, as you have seen, such as family events and school kickoffs. And I hope my role on the board can help make an impact within the school community. Thank you.
Okay, is that all for the introductions? Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Just a clarifying question. Also, Melanie, what is our, or Ashley, what is our time check for?
We'll have 25 minutes from now.
Okay.
Full discussion.
Okay. One of the questions that we had is, is the location, just clarifying, is the location near Siler City?
No, sir. The location is on east side of Jordan Lake. And we currently negotiate a land deal with a particular landowners. And at this moment, we would keep confidential. If we can share the information with the board privately off the line, we will do so.
Okay. Okay. Other questions, board members, on enrollment pattern, mission, anything kind of in the first section of the application?
This is Cheryl. So I guess I'm a little bit confused. The focus of this application is heavy support to ESL. But they're telling me that ESL kids live on the west side of the county and they're going to locate on the east. So I don't understand.
No, actually, the population in Pittsburgh, roughly about 30% of Latino population. There are a large chunk of population in the west side of Pittsburgh. I think we can accommodate it by serving the population by providing transportation. And I will let Dr. Guibon address your concern.
How far away is that? How far is Pittsburgh from Jordan Lake?
3 mile-ish. And I will share with you information on our size location privately offline, because at this moment, we are in the final stage negotiate agreement, the purchase agreement of the land. And probably it's not proper to open dialogue with this in public.
Highway 64 is a very major east-west transportation core that allows students, teachers, families to travel across the county very quickly. It's up to date. That has updated telecommunication lines and access. So we feel that unlike being in a more remote part of the county, this location we're looking at is easier to get to from wherever you are.
Alex, this is Sherry Reeves. With that being said, how many charters are in that area? Because if I'm understanding correctly, the east side would be adjacent to Wake County, and I know we have some schools out there in that area. Also, with the focus on the ESL population, has the board tried to recruit a member from the Hispanic community to the board to help to that end?
We have actively recruited the local Spanish population into our advisory committee, and we had a strategy plan in place, including working with the Chatham County Community Church and the United Methodist Church in Pittsburgh and the AME Zion Church in Apex, and to recruiting student population. We received positive response from our surveys. The parents do love the idea of having a charter school in that part of the Chatham County.
This is Heather Van Cannon. I was curious about why the board chose not to have a weighted lottery with a target population that may coincide with EDD. So I know that you can't specifically target Latino populations per se with a lottery. However, you could target an EDD population, which may get you closer to that number?
We had a conversation with the folks on the legal side. We said, can we designate this percentage of population into the enrollment process? We're told probably it's not a good idea, and because charter school is public school, you gotta go to the lottery system, and everyone will have equal opportunity. However, we are actively involved with the Chatham County Latino population development, and we will find the way to actively market our school to the population. And however, we gotta follow the state regulation and the rule, go with the lottery system, and we have transparency, accountability.
I couldn't, this is Alex. I couldn't see this, or, there's no way to know, so I'm going to go ahead and just ask the question. Given that this is a population, do you have someone of Latino, Hispanic background on the board?
Actually, we do have an active advisory board, have 5 Spanish schools in the Chatham County. And I believe that 5 group was at least in our filing. There's an organization chart, and if I have the chart with me.
I'm just going to ask again, is there a person of Latino, Hispanic descent who represents that community on your board?
Right, the answer to that question is not yet. We have.
I am bilingual to some degree. I speak Spanish fairly well and work in the court system. I work very closely with a lot of the Hispanic population, and so while I'm not of descent, I do have a minor degree in Spanish, so at least something.
And the concept is to recruit future board members as we get further into it. We have a strong advisory system that Joseph was referencing. And among those with the Hispanic background who proved to have the interest and will step forward, our board of directors will evolve to address that.
This is Mr. Friend. I appreciate the board providing answers that you have. I do want to go back to the location just to make sure I understood correctly what I heard. And I'm not asking you to give me the location, but you did say that was going to be on the east side of Jordan Lake, which I would assume somewhere off of 64 on the east side of Jordan Lake. Is that correct?
Right.
So I guess with that, I mean, that's not 3-ish miles from Pittsburgh. That's a good 10 to 12 miles from Pittsburgh, and 25 miles at least to Siler City, which is where the larger pockets of the Hispanic population live in Chatham. Am I incorrect about that?
Pittsburgh is mostly a bedroom community. 85% of the tax dollars go outside of the county to commute. Most of the jobs that they commute to, like the RTP or UNC Chapel Hill, so you're going to see 85% of the people are on 15501 or 64 in the morning. The trip from Pittsburgh to the other side of Jordan Lake is about 5 to 10 miles, but you can see that the majority of people travel that way anyway on a daily basis, in and out. So that will create a lot of convenience for people who commute to work, which is 85% of the population.
Okay, yeah, I'm very familiar with that area of the county and western Wake County as well. Just was curious because I don't think on the eastern side of Jordan Lake is where a lot of your target population actually lives, and it's not the larger developments going in there. So, thank you.
This is Rita Hare. I concur with that. I was wondering the same thing, Bruce. I Googled it, and because the directions crossed the lake, I knew I wasn't getting an accurate number. Still, it was telling me 13 miles from Pittsburgh to the lake, so I'm sure it's less than that. But I was certainly hoping that the location, the desirable location that you'd be searching would be to the west of Jordan Lake and more convenient to Pittsburgh. It sounds like it would almost be in Wake County or closer to Cary, but I'm sure you don't know yet. You don't have any prospective properties yet, do you?
Actually, we did a homework for the last 2 years, The only reason is that we cannot locate it in the town Petersburg itself. It becomes Chatham Park. Chatham Park roughly about 200 to 300 acre lot. And they are become the largest landowner in town Petersburg. And the land price, it become unaffordable for charter schools. And the area we targeted is a USDA certified rural area. We hope by that area, we can really provide a unique service to the population. Meantime, with the means of physical responsibility, we don't have to pay the pricing, we cannot affordable for the land.
Also, I want to clarify, we have not made any financial investments in land. We don't have any land under contract. We have not bought any land. That is our target area that we have been searching, but we do not have any firm commitments or obligations at this time to any specific site.
And to further clarify, if you're going to town of Pittsburgh, the wastewater treatment plant, that's only within the town limits or the EJC will be impossible right now.
Alex, I have a question about the ed plan.
Go ahead.
In your ed plan, you said you were going to spend 50 minutes a day on ELA. Third grade students who have not passed the EOG are required to have 90 minutes, and best practice is 90 minutes. So why are you planning on only 50 minutes a day of ELA, particularly for students who don't speak English well?
Joseph, Joseph, do you have that question?
No, I'm saying, would you like to address the question?
Actually, Joseph, I think I need you to answer that question, please. Joseph?
Yes.
I'm gonna have you respond to that question, please.
Actually, we have a long conversation with our education consultant, Dr. Coleman, and he manages charter schools, and he also superintendent for 3 different school districts. And he believes that's a formula can be very successful, help you guys help students to progressively into the mainstream and reach the efficiency in English.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
We had a conversation with Dr. Coleman on this issue. We discussed so many times, and in the end, we reached the conclusion that probably is the most effective formula to help a student with ELCL background quickly master English.
And in addition, even though you might have 50 minutes of structured particular instruction in that area, if the overall focus of the school is dedicated to helping those learners, we would intend to implement small pieces throughout the day in every curriculum and in every activity, to address that as well in a less formal way. That would certainly supplement the amount of effort put in that area.
Mr. Quigley, can I interject here?
Yeah, and then I have to follow up on that.
Based on this is Ms. Reeves speaking, based on the schedule that was presented in the application, there will be 7 50-minute periods a day, and that's language arts, math, science, social studies, PE, and 2 electives. So I don't see where there's any time for remediation, et cetera, to be included in that daily schedule. I felt that what was presented in the application for the daily and weekly schedule, it lacked details, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, also given the school's desire to integrate ELL and serve that population, does anyone on the board have experience either running a school that has a high Hispanic population or ELL population, or teaching ELL?
Actually, I'm the founder of Carrie Chinese School is a Saturday school. The school is a 100% volunteer and attendance because it's Saturday schools. The most of students attending that school, roughly the population is about, total student population now is about 1,200. And we use one of Wake County high school facilities, and the student breakup is roughly about 60% of students came from mainland China, 20% of the, we call them ABC, American-born Chinese. The rest of 20%, the local population, include the African American, the white, and the Latino populations. And most of pretty much all the people coming there are the ESL students. And myself, you can hear my accent. I understand how struggle to learn how to speak English, and I think my personal experience will express my understanding and commitment to have a Latino student really learn how to master the English, because that's the only way to achieve their American dreams.
I'm not able to hear. Is that a board CSAB member or someone else?
Yeah, we will hire the Spanish-speaking teachers from the Participate Learning International Program. That is a network and organization who will hire and recruit international teachers from the different countries around the world, and they will take care of the visa applications, give the visa to the teachers, and also provide certain accommodations. And on the other hand, they can designate certain teachers to the schools who need them. So when we are talking about those ESL teachers, we're trying to hire them and recruit them from that the program, the Participate Learning International Program.
Yeah, there's a variety of challenges with that. One is particularly, it can be costly. There can be limitations on that as a pipeline for staff. I think the bigger issue is that I'm seeing is just a lack of knowledge of the. It's one thing but when you state this is the population that we are 100%, the mission or the targeted population of the school, yet there doesn't seem to be a lot of experience of running a public school or teaching in a public school with that student population or representation on the board or any prior experience to that, and that's just a flag for me.
This is Jamie Laster. I'll just mention, while I myself have not done so, my husband, he is a school administrator in Wake County. He's for the first alternative middle school. So I like Zach to sort of have a school justice partnership in my house. He sort of brings a outside voice to the board, through me.
He's not on the board, right?
No, he's not. But it's Connections Academy Middle School in Wake County, and so it's a very interesting new concept in Wake County, and I've sort of seen it grow along the way. And so I like to say that I've gathered knowledge through him.
Thank you. Just to follow up on Cheryl's question about the 50 minutes. So that's what you have for ELA in third grade.
One thing I want to bring more attention is that our smaller classroom, we intentionally set up a teacher and student ratio 17:1, and we believe that structure can really create a nice, comfortable learning environment, not just for ESL students, but for student population at large. And because, like I said, my two children went to public school. I see some good school system. I see some school system need to be great improvement. And that's why our board made strategic decision to have a teacher and a student ratio at 17:1. In that way, the student can know each other. A teacher will have a time and ability to take care of the student.
Mr. Quigley, that's been Ted Branch here. May I respond?
Sure.
The 50 minutes is not going to be adequate, and the board is committed to ensuring that all of our students receive appropriate and adequate ELA instruction. So we will take that back to the board table for more discussion.
Okay, just to follow up while we're talking about ELA, I believe Super Kids is the program that you're proposing you would use as a core curriculum.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Could you, in Saxon Math, could you share how you arrived at that program?
Dr. Branch?
Mr. Quigley, we looked at several tools to use. We looked at the research surrounding these tools. With Saxon Math, for example, it's a proven track record. It's been around for 30 years plus. We appreciate the incremental approach to instruction that it offers. It also offers a rich assessment program, providing teachers with tremendous information, both formatively and summatively. Super Kids, we look at the research. We reached out to a consultant to get his opinion on this. We again appreciate how it responds to students and the information that it provides teachers. There is quite a bit of research behind it, including how it motivates students to read. So we made the decisions based on the research that we did.
And in addition, just to add to that, if you look at some of the aspects of Super Kids, you know, one of the first ones is phonological awareness, and you know what can be more in alignment with helping English second language learners than phonological awareness. It also includes fluency, reading, grammar, a lot of those aspects that they really supplement, you know, in part of the core curriculum of the entire school, helping those English second language learners.
I think that you know, most I'm not sure about your research. I would just, for the boards, for our board, you know, Ed Reports is a gold standard as far as I'm concerned for evaluating alignment, curriculum alignment, and both Saxon Math and Super Kids, neither of those meet the or they both partially, well, Saxon Math is listed as not meeting expectations, and Super Kids is noted as partially meeting expectations to the Common Core realignment. So I would just raise that as a flag for the board. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of budget questions. $5,000+ for speech services, but you're going to have K1 where that's where the largest speech population is. And I didn't see a speech pathologist on your personnel file. So how are you planning to meet the needs of those students with $5,000?
Right. So the concept there is we were going to wait for the exact student data to come in, and then we have the flexibility to realign the teachers as needed. In the event that a realignment is not sufficient or not able to be done, we do have a substantial amount of cushion in our operating budget to where we can add if necessary. You know, our positive bottom line can certainly be reallocated, which we are projecting to have even in year one, to address specific student needs as the data for particular student needs are discovered as we know who's coming to our school.
Okay, and then my other question was, why $10,000 for licensure? Especially since it doesn't really cost the school anything for people to get licensed. They have to pay for the license, but the school doesn't generally. So why $10,000 for licensure?
You know, my understanding is that the licensure would include, software licenses or certain access to systems, in addition to, you know, different certifications that employees might have.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Could you say that again?
Yeah, my understanding of what licensure costs is, it might include some software license costs.
Okay. Okay, this is not licensure of staff.
Sounds like that's,
No,
Like
that's
soft-
the software program we will use at the school. It's annual subscription.
All right, that's generally budgeted in instructional software?
Yes, because a lot of instruction software now need annual subscription.
The format of, you know, of what cost, you know, went where was, you know, was suggested by, you know, Charter Success Partners, who, you know, has experience helping 40 charter schools around North Carolina. And, you know, seeing the wide amount of charter schools and the actual costs, they have suggestions as to how to allocate different budget line items, you know, for the expected population that we're looking for. And that's ultimately, you know, their advice on that budgeted item is what we took to approve that budgeted line item.
That's fine. I obviously misinterpreted what it represented.
Mr. Quigley, can I ask an enrollment question, which drives to the budget? So my question is, the original enrollment was 450, increasing to 600, but the budget's based on 600 students in year one, increasing to 900 students. Can a board member explain why it shifts?
Our enrollment, are you referring to the initial enrollment table? Give me a second.
I believe that the initial reporting was that if we submitted that was an outdated version from long ago. My understanding was that we would always seek to start with 600 students, you know, with that K through 5, and then organically grow from there.
Our increment is 100 students each year, and our initial enrollment is from LEA 190 is 80 students, from LEA 920 is 20 students, so the total is 600 students at year one, K to 5.
Correct. I see that in the budget table, and that's what drove the numbers for your budget. But yes, in the beginning of the application, it was stated that year one would be K5, 450 students growing to 600. So I'm just confused.
I'm not only, you're not only one computer. I was almost get a heart attack when I saw this thing post online, and I called my board director. I said, I'm gonna get a heart attack now. Where's the enrollment number come from? And I said, that's not in our budget. Where's the number? Now also, if you look at the online filings, our board member is 8 members, and half of our board member was missing.
Mr. Quigley, I think we're over time, but with, you know, 600 students in year one, 6th grade levels, we're trying to target a very specific population. There's only 2 school buses, and for lunches, you know, a vendor to prepare. The breakfast wasn't fleshed out. Plus, we're talking about building a facility, a $12 million facility. Those are concerns of mine for the operational side.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. All right, at this time, I'm going to close the question and answer and turn it back over to Jordan Lake. You'll have an opportunity now to make a 10-minute statement, and then the Charter School Advisory Board will close comments from the board and have a discuss their recommendation.
Jordan, like you guys are, you're muted. So if you want to give a closing statement, you need to unmute.
I'll take that as my cue. We have assembled a strong board and a set of partners and advisors who will help us continue to improve any deficiencies in our plan. We're not perfect, but I hope the work that we put out in the last few years bleeds through this application. Now let's focus on why you should fund this project. Very uniquely, we will offer an integrative approach to education that holistically addresses the social, emotional, mental, behavioral, and physical needs of students. And we'll do so as follows: with K-8 education that establishes a positive learning culture with a good student-teacher ratio. We're going to focus on early grades, foundational education for strong reading, math, basic math, music and arts appreciation, critical thinking, foundational learning. We're trying to develop well-rounded students and ensure long-term success of working poor, minority, and disadvantaged families that we target. These people will benefit. As I know, I came from this kind of a community. I grew up this way and had a lot of academic success and professional success just because of having access to some good programs. They will benefit from our after-school programs, including math and computer science, tutoring such as YMCA's Kumon Math, National 4-H program to develop citizenship, leadership, responsibility, life skills with experiential learning, a 2-acre experimental farm on site. We're trying to prepare students, even disadvantaged students like myself that came out of a rural environment, to go to top academic institutions, including the NC School of Math, where some of our own kids attended. In fact, Dr. Todd Roberts, Chancellor at NCSSM, has offered to assist us with recruiting a principal and with ongoing academic program development. We've assembled some strong partners that can help us to continue to remediate some of the deficiencies you may have pointed out in our application. We also know that kids that are well fed will perform better in school. It's hard to focus on education if you're hungry. Since 50% of Chatham County residents are at or below federal poverty level, we will participate in the National School Lunch Program, even while we incorporate into our academic curriculum the study of the food chain and an active 4-H program. We'll ensure that all students have access to meals that meet recommended dietary requirements. And I personally know I've benefited from this, subsidized lunches in school myself. Once established, we'll establish the need for breakfast once we get our census of students. We're also going to provide very uniquely access to primary health care. This is what I do for my life mission, and I've arranged for a strong partner, Qualified Community Health Center, Federally Qualified Health Center, Piedmont Community Health, and Brian Toomey, they're a good friend of mine, will establish operations on site to help students and families. We also have a strong partnership with NC Agricultural Extension Services, UNC School of Public Health, UNC School of Nursing, and we're going to help these students and families have a well-rounded, wholesome, healthy, holistic approach to education. We're going to ensure financial health, as John talked to you about, with the Charter Success Partners helping us with comprehensive accounting, and Petway Mills and Pearson offering auditing services. Primarily, though, we're going to really focus on cultural diversity. Convinced of the educational benefits of socio-cultural diversity, we will strive to recruit students and teachers from diverse backgrounds. Several of us, including myself as board members, we've had decades of experience in hiring for diversity to fit the communities that we serve and adapting services and communications both culturally and linguistically. We are committed to promoting diversity and education equality to broaden the perspectives of both advantaged and disadvantaged students, building character, mutual awareness, and respect among all. We also enjoy strong support to do so from our board of advisors. They may not be participating fully as members of our board, but we have good, strong advisors. Mr. Garland Burton, Director of Wake Forest University Office of Diversity Programs, former Director of UNC's Hub Program, and State Director for United Minority Contractors Association. Also, Ms. Tammy Hall, State Director for the North Carolina Office of Historically Underutilized Businesses, and Dr. Ginger Cunningham, Director for NC Cooperative Extension and the 4-H program. You can see their support letters in our application. As Rich Trogdon made clear earlier, this community school project has been well received and supported locally. In conclusion, I hope that you appreciate all the ways we have attempted to actualize our core values, your core values of integrity, teamwork, and collaboration, diversity, excellence, and accountability. We humbly ask that without reservation or delay, you approve our charter school application. We will not let you down. John?
Dr. Bounds, you did an excellent job summarizing, and I'll get back the remainder of the time.
Okay, at this time we'll close discussion from the Jordan Lake Board. Thank you. And open it up to discussion among the CSAB members.
Alex, this is Rita Hare. I'll be glad to start a little discussion about this. I have some concerns about the application. They've done a lot of things well. I really like their 7 mindsets. I think that's a strong learning program, social emotional learning program that they plan to utilize, and the positive behavior. I think the application talks a lot about compassion, and I hear their heart for the population that's struggling with the English language. I was concerned about their curriculum. In several cases mentions the iStation and the Dreambox and these software programs that they would be using at home. And I know with this population, the students would need to be assured that they have devices at home and internet at home, and those things have to be in place for them to be successful. There are still outstanding questions about the budget and being able to provide the transportation that's necessary, again, for this population, as well as the meals. And finally, I approach most of our charter boards that come to us about their board membership and their background checks. I think that's an important component that we would be remiss not to review, and they did not submit any. They weren't able to submit background checks. And again, it may sound like a technicality to some, but it's our documentation of who we're approving as a board, and I think it's an important piece to the whole package. So that's some of my feedback.
Thank you. Other board members?
Okay, who's that? Sure. I'll wait.
Hilda, would you like to go ahead?
Go ahead, Hilda, and Sharon.
All right, I'll go ahead. It appears that this board is very well qualified, no doubt about that, but I do see the need for the application to be refined, especially in the areas of enrollment and the budget. And I too had a question about the background checks. So it needs to be more solid in all ways, not just in terms of the mission statement or their vision. So that's what I see. They need more work on the application. Thanks.
Thank you, Hilda. This is Sherry Reeves. I would like to certainly express to the board of Jordan Lake School that we hear you, we feel your passion, we know that you are very sincere in your efforts. But as presented in the application, there are several components that just fall short, in my opinion. Firstly, the good points. I was impressed with the mission and vision, and you did try to make that come throughout your application. And I agree with Dr. Hare on the 7 mindsets for success. I think that is a key component that is often overlooked in schools today when we're trying to get kids to hit certain benchmarks. We forget about their social and emotional learning. So I do appreciate and thank you for including that into the application. However, I'm very concerned about the ed plan. As we learned, Super Kids is not a strong program. Neither is Saxon. And for me, the time dedicated to reading and math in the daily schedule is just insufficient. Other things that popped up in operations, I had questions about the buses. I mean, we're trying to target a very specific population that needs the extra support. and that would be including of transportation and the lunch program. So that then leads to questions with the budget for me. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Other comments?
This is Mr. Friend. I won't repeat what my colleagues said. I would share some of those same concerns, but also share some of the same things that I liked about the application as well. And I do think this is a board that is strong, and I'm torn because I think that I do think that the board probably can pull this off and maybe have heard us today in terms of some of the things that we've addressed that might need to be corrected or fine-tuned a little bit. I am a little concerned about the location because knowing that area well, the eastern side of Jordan Lake is very quickly becoming basically a suburb of Holly Springs, Cary, and Apex, which looks very different than the rest of Chatham County. But I do think this is a strong board. I will say I would probably be inclined to, I think one of the options we have is to bring them back one more time, if I'm correct, where they could address some of the things they heard from us today. I think there are limitations here, but there's real potential here as well.
Mr. Chair, this is Heather Van Cannon. I'd like to agree with Bruce that there's a lot of, well, first of all, I think the board's very strong in what they can bring. However, I do think that there's some things that need to be buttoned up and maybe thought through a little bit more. For example, the curricula that have been selected. I don't know that it was clearly stated why that would really support the targeted population. Also, I think demand was based around, I'm not sure where the surveys were given, but demands about these booming new housing developments, which I think are more east, on the east side of Jordan Lake. And to Bruce's point, doesn't necessarily support the narrative of targeting the Latino population. So for those reasons, I think that probably need some time to think about the feedback they've received and come back to us, because I love the idea and support the idea for the school, but just think that there are too many things that need to be looked at for a second time. Thanks.
Alex, this is Cheryl. I agree with most of what's been said. I do think conceptually this is a really good idea, and there's a need, but the need seems to be on the west side of the state, of the county, and there's some confusion about that. I think there need to be some fixes to the ed plan, and those things are material to the charter. And so I don't think coming back next month and telling us what they want to change will work. I feel like this application needs a rewrite.
Yes, I would echo those sentiments, Cheryl. All right, any further comments?
I'll make a motion. I would move that we not move Jordan Lake forward to ready to open.
Second, Heather Van Cannon.
The discussion done, or is it?
Yep, any discussion on the motion?
Again, I hear the concerns, and I expressed it to myself. I actually though do think inviting them back and giving them an opportunity based upon what they've heard today does have value. So I won't support the motion, and I would encourage that we really do consider giving them, this is a strong board.
Bruce, what makes you say that? Because my question is, you have an application that where you have said that your target population is a specific population, and then there's essentially no representation on your board of that population. I mean, I understand if your school dynamic changes when you're already running a school and you have a board, but I don't understand that. I mean, that seems like a gaping hole and a significant miss on the board's part.
So I think that's two separate issues, Alex, if I may. I think the board as they are, these collective individuals bring a lot to the table. And I'm impressed with that. So I think so we've identified as an example, but perhaps they could truly benefit by having someone else join the board with that background. Do we not give them the opportunity to address that? I've expressed the concerns about, sounds like they have a really great location, and I can respect it, share it. So convince me that your transportation plan will get you the kids regardless of where you're at in Channel County. I guess that's the questions. The question I'm having is, can we give them the time between now and the next season?
I feel strongly about this. I mean, and not just with this application, with all applications. No, like this is not a process by which we kind of crutch up applications that are not there in the hopes that they'll figure it out. Like when you submit an application, you got to be ready for prime time. And I think I'm visibly frustrated. And it's not just this board. The last 3 applications that we've had have been so not ready for prime time, in my opinion. And I don't feel that it's the Office of Charter Schools or the Charter School Advisory Board to give the benefit of the doubt. This is as I've said before, this is a grant for essentially, let's see, over 5 years, $30 million. And so I just think we have to be, as stewards of the public dollars, very thoughtful. And I just think we have some really strong people on this board. The application needs work. The vision needs work. The alignment to the board's mission and target population needs work. That's going to take a year.
Well, I respect your opinion on that, Chairman Quigley. I certainly do. I have a slightly different one, and that's okay. I guess.
Of course.
I guess I'm as I listen to you again, I guess I'm thinking, then why do we even, then what's the purpose of giving people a second interview if they can't first?
Because I think when we have seen applications that are pretty strong, boards that are strong, and we have, we're in the conversation about kind of really strong merits and debating that and location, and they have a few things that they need to kind of sort out, and then we brought them back, got those things clarified, and feel great about those applications. I will say that it has been a rare occurrence on this board where we are not, as I've said before, we know when we see it, when we feel good about it, and most of the time those are unanimous decisions. We feel good, we're excited. Those are the schools that are successful. I think when we are kind of trying to see our way there, it's when we get ourselves into trouble.
Alex, I also have a concern, and it's not necessarily about the school. It's about our process altogether. Over the last few months, we have moved more towards allowing people to change what they told us they were going to do in the app. Initially, we were saying, well, there's, some things you're going to change in RTO anyway. But now we're getting to a place where we're letting people tell us, well, I'm going to change where I'm going to be. I'm going to change how I'm going to teach. Those are material things to the charter. And what becomes the document by which we hold people accountable is what's written on paper. And we're letting people tell us verbally we're going to make changes, but we have no way of knowing that stuff ever gets to paper. And we're just saying, well, okay. And that's a long way from where we used to be, where you couldn't change anything. We wouldn't let you even change the budget. Like, you couldn't change anything. I think that was probably a little much. But I think now you can develop your app your plan as we talk, and that'll be okay. And I don't think that's okay either.
I agree with you and Chair Quigley. And my take on this is that the stronger the board, the higher my expectations for the written document. So the strength of the board should be shown throughout the application. Hilda Perlay, thank you.
And just one more add on to that, Alex. This is Sherry. Our board's going to change. Office of Charter School folks will change. And to Cheryl's point, it's what's written, because long after Alex is gone, Sherry's gone, Cheryl's gone, so forth, what's written down and documented is what that charter school will be held accountable for.
Okay, I'm going to.
Alex, you're muted. You're muted.
If you call for a vote, the motion is to not move them forward, as it currently moved and seconded.
Okay. Roll call vote. Jeanette Butterworth.
Aye.
Joel Ford.
Aye.
Bruce Friend.
Nay.
Rita Hare.
Aye.
Lynn Kroger.
Aye.
Hilda Parlay.
Aye.
Alex Quigley.
Aye.
Sherry Reeves.
Aye.
Cheryl Turner.
Aye.
Heather Van Cannon.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes.
All right, at this time, we are going to move into renewal school interviews, and I believe that we are right on time.
Okay.
So
Good afternoon, everyone. You will hear renewal interviews this afternoon that will be led by Mr. Friend and Ms. Butterworth. Just a reminder, board, we normally take a vote in December. However, because we have to hear the 7-year schools, we will hold off on that vote until January. If you all would like to get started, the first school that is up is Concord Lake STEAM Academy, and Ms. Butterworth will lead that.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Do we have representatives here from Concord Lake STEAM?
Yes, we do. This is Principal Wood speaking.
Do you have any board members with you today?
Yes, I do.
Could they just briefly introduce themselves by their name and position on the board?
Yes, this is Wayne Turner. I'm the board president.
Jessica Mainstein, director.
Martin Conway, secretary.
Hi, this is Beth Compton. I'm the vice chair.
Great. Is there anybody else, or is that our team?
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for being with us today. So Concord Lake currently has a charter of 5 years, and their guideline placement is putting them at 5 years again. So I wanted to just check in with the school to see whether y'all could answer some questions for us and give us an overview of what is happening at your school. Y'all are the ones that have the finger on the pulse. So one thing that I noticed is that your 20-day ADM is 338, and your enrollment for 2019, 2020 was 489. And so could you just talk a little bit about the difference there, what you think is making up that difference?
Sure. So we will get down right there to enrollment. What we are noticing is complete alignment across the three areas of concern: leadership turnover and stability, academic performance, and then of course enrollment were the three concerns. Part of this goes hand in hand. If you're able to look at our enrollment chart, you're able to see that we did start at 466. You'll be able to see that that did drop. I came in, which is part of that leadership stability. I came in right at, if you look at the bottom, PMR 6. We remained stable until the close of this school year. So that would be basically February of 2020 would be that PR 6 whenever I came in. We remained stable to close out this school year. We had so many enrollment efforts over the summer. We were able to see an amazing increase to 393. Our board did make the safe and cautious decision that we would open fully remote. We did see a small drop in enrollment down to 354. We've kind of remained there, and now we are climbing our way back up now that we've opened doors to kids. And we currently sit at an enrollment of 376 students as of today. And I will pause right there and wait for the rest of the questions. Otherwise, I will continue in just in speaking about the alignment kind of across our school as it relates to these three areas of concern.
That's fine with me if you want to move ahead, and then we can save our questions for after you.
Yes, ma'am. So when we look at leadership turnover and stability, I did just mention that as of February 2020, I am the new principal here at Concord Lake. I came into an amazing facility with capable and competent teachers. We simply had to make some adjustments. A lot of it was realigning back to our charter. Part of that also was ensuring that we had a comprehensive leadership team so that decisions here at Concord Lake were not one-sided, but instead relied on some capable individuals and to ensure that decisions, again, were centered around students and were centered around what our charter says Concord Lake would be about. That entail has included that tip up in enrollment. That alone is ensuring that we delegate to strengths rather than me making the decision all alone, although I certainly am capable and have the ability to make a decision independently. Often what we do is come around the table to ensure every single decision that's made here is based in what's best for students and student achievement. That does lead us to our student achievement portion there. And what you're able to see are some trends. This is NWEA. And so you're able to see where our fall 17-18 numbers were in ELA and mathematics. We then go to fall 18-19, fall 19-20, and then that brings us to this fall. We did a lot of work with Summer Bridge over the summer and have worked so hard from February until today, and now those numbers are showing in enrollment as well. The next is kind of the growth, and so you'll also see that that enrollment trend as well is tipping up. And so it looks like across our school, not only is achievement, our enrollment trends, but everything unfortunately followed a dip down and now is on that upward trajectory up. And I am excited to see Concord Lake move forward. Our BOG 3s also follow that same trend. At the beginning of last school year, only 18% of our students came in proficient, and at this school year we're sitting at 35, which is a very large jump. But again, we have done and put so many things into place here at Concord Lake that we are excited and know that we're on our way back up.
Great. And you may have said this when you first started your presentation, but do you have a school improvement team?
We do have a school improvement team. We do. We have an active school improvement team. We meet the second and fourth Thursdays of every month. And with that school improvement thing, things like this were taken into account. Whenever I did come into Concord Lake, part of some of our questioning was, tell me what you absolutely would not change about our school. And this is every single staff member. And then tell me the one thing that you would say is an area of growth for us here. And I say us because when I walk in day one, it's now in my lap. And so we had to find a way to get ourselves out of that, and not in a pity party, but to truly have a plan. So again, along with those enrollment efforts, that school improvement team worked to ensure that everything was aligned, and everything went back to ensuring students were at the center of our decisions. And that school improvement team also works amazingly hard to look at the data, to analyze the data, and to ensure that every single benchmark along the way, that we still are moving upwards.
And can you tell me just briefly who's on that team, what staff positions or board positions or parent?
Sure. So we have a dean of instruction here, myself. We have a curriculum resource teacher, or CRT, our AIG coordinator. We also have 2 teachers represented from K through 2, 2 represented from 3 through 5, and then we have a middle school representative as well as an EC representative, and our special area, PE, music, art, those STEM teacher, all of those, one person from that is represented as well. And then we have often parent liaisons. Most of the time they do not join us in person anymore, but they do Zoom in, and anyone who is unable to be here on campus also Zooms into that meeting. But there is a representative from all of those in order to have quorum and to start that meeting. We have to have a minimum.
Great. And I just have one more question, then I'm going to turn it over to my fellow board members. But for your board members that are there, can one of y'all speak to what you see your greatest challenge as being, and then how you as a board are supporting the school to move past it?
Yeah, this is Wayne Turner, the board chair. I appreciate you guys inviting us here today. I think the biggest challenge has been is that we founded the school, and after a 2-year period, our founding principal decided to move back home, and we made a change to our home state, and we made a change with leadership, and along with that, the change to the STEAM mission, which has been a great thing for the area and the community. But along with that change in the leadership came some challenges, in the culture and some other things, and which led us to, as Ms. Wood said, this past February, bringing her in, and as you can see from the data, things stabilized and started to increase. And so the challenge is definitely that enrollment piece, getting kids back in the school, and then from a support standpoint, from the board standpoint, I mean, we're here whenever, obviously in between our meetings, if Ms. Woods needs help, I mean, we're constantly working with her and CSUSA's state team and the team down in Florida to look for ways that we can provide additional benefits and things to the school to support her, and of course all the amazing teachers we have there at Concord Lake's team. Does any other board members wanted to add to that?
Well, I will turn it over to my fellow board members. Does anybody on the CSAB board have questions for Concord Lakes?
Ms. Butterworth, this is Ms. Reeves. I have just a few.
Go ahead.
Kendra, where were you prior to coming to Concord Lake?
Prior to coming to Concord Lake, long story, I moved from Lenoir County Public Schools. I was a principal in Lenoir County for 2 years prior to moving back to Charlotte. My husband's work from home job turned to in the office, and he was driving about 4 hours one way. And I have a 4-year-old, and so that just wasn't good for my family. So I made the change to leave that principalship and to move back to Charlotte so that my a small family could be together. And so I was in a principalship prior to coming here, and I was briefly hired for the state team here for Charter Schools USA in the Carolinas. And whenever there was a principal change, I was tapped to step in only as interim, and am excited and delighted to be here full time.
Well, I only asked because wherever you were, I'm sure you're sorely missed.
Yeah.
I think you have made a very positive change for the school. What benchmark assessment do you guys use?
So we use NWEA, which is MAP. We also use iReady data as well, but NWEA is what our charter says that we're using, and so we are benchmarking using both of those currently, and we're hoping to streamline that soon, though, because as you know, taking both benchmarks means that our scholars are taking the exact two tests at the same time to benchmark. However, what we're realizing now is that that information and that testing, although it is strenuous for our scholars and students, it is so beneficial for us, and it is what's helping us move forward.
Absolutely. It's a very great, good assessment. We use it at our school, and you can get some valuable data from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I must add to that, Ms. Woods is very polished. Very polished. Thank you for your communication skills. Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else from CSAB have questions for Concord Lake? I have one other for y'all. Looks like you are slated for a 5-year renewal. And I just wanted to get your reactions, maybe Ms. Woods as well as the board members, to that 5-year renewal and what you think maybe the opportunities or challenges might be in it.
Sure. So I think that's fair. And I'm actually excited and anxious that just the opportunity to come back in 5 years, whatever the years are, I cannot wait to get back in front of you guys to show you the data and the improvements made here at Concord Lake. So I don't see any challenges. The upward is just that we are on our way up. It's an amazing place to be. And I find myself grateful to have stepped in here. I do hear that I missed where I was. However, once I'm part of a family, I remain part of that family, so they know I am only a phone call away. But they also know that when I gain a bigger family or another location, that is simply another blessing. It's somewhere else to learn from, another school, another community to learn from. And so I'm excited. I'm very excited. Find no challenges at all with that 5-year.
That's great. What a beautiful attitude you bring to the work. How about any board members want to react to that before we close out our interview?
Yes, ma'am. This is Wayne Turner. We exactly what Ms. Wood said. I mean, it's we're not surprised, and this is certainly within absolute reason. I mean, we welcome the oversight. I know you guys don't want to be constantly babysitting schools and boards and stuff, but we kind of view these shorter tenure be nice, but having a shorter ability to come back, like Ms. Wood said, in 5 years and be able to show you guys all the things that she's been able to accomplish and we've been able to accomplish together at the school, and bring these kids up and get these grades where they need to be and get the enrollment where it needs to be. I don't see any challenges or concerns with a 5-year at all.
Right. And just finally, Dr. Cooper, is there anything you want to add to this conversation?
Just that the information that you all saw today during our renewal interview, I was able to see an even deeper dive and a greater appreciation for the work that they've put in during the pandemic. I was also our team was met with the same positive attitude. And like you said, there are no surprises. We had the crucial conversations and they stand before you today. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you all for coming today. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and we look forward to seeing you and whenever the years are that you come back, and I'm sure that we'll see great things coming out of the school.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all having us.
Thanks for your time today.
Next up, we have Gate City Charter. Do we have folks from Gate City Charter on the call?
Yes, it's Natasha Robertson, principal at Gate City on the call. I believe my board member is working to join us. I don't believe he's joined yet. Also am joined by, I'm also joined by our Director of School Quality at NHA.
Hi, good afternoon. Lori Hill is here.
Good afternoon. Are there other folks?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we have two folks from the school on the call with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Did you have information that you would like to present to us before we start with questions?
I do.
All right.
I do. Yeah. Just, I guess first, just thank you so much for taking time to allow me the opportunity to share a little bit with you about Gate City Charter Academy. My name is Natasha Robertson. I'm the principal at Gate. Excited. Gate City is celebrating our 5th birthday this year, and we serve over 688 students. The makeup of those students is about 78% of those students being free and reduced lunch. 11% of our students receive are eligible for special education or qualified as EC exceptional children, and 9% of our population are English language learners. And I've just been so proud of the work that we've been able to do over the past 10 months in this pandemic and the past 5 years with our families. One of the things that's been most promising and exciting is being able to see families that have been with us since our inception now enrolling their youngest students to be a part of our school community and continue making Gate City a part of their families' process when educating their children. And so it's really just been a joy over the past 5 years to look at all the growth that we've made in such a short time. I wanted to talk also a little bit about our academic performance with you, and feel free to stop me if I should stop or continue going.
Just, it's fine if you want to continue to go, and then we'll fill in some questions after.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I want to share with you a little bit about our academic performance. You've got our data. We've had some significant gains over the past couple of years, as well as opportunity for growth. Our data indicates from the 16-17 to the 18-19 school year that we had an increase in reading, math, and science proficiency. But I also want to point out that you can see where there were some slight dips from the 17-18 school year to the 18-19 school year, and I attribute that decline to teacher turnover. Based on our second quarter check-in data and from the 19-20 check data for NWEA and iReady, we remain on track. Prior to our closure in 19-20, prior to our closure, our check-in data indicated we were on track to make continued growth. And so that was prior to our closure in March. But returning back, our NWA data and our current check-in data outline that we're continuing to make some gains, and where we've remained steady in reading and science, math still is an opportunity for growth for us. And in that, we're really working to try and target how we can close gaps for students. And the way that we've done that is through having really targeted learning plans for our students, really working to ensure that we're targeting learning loss and making that an intentional practice with instruction, and also offering additional tutoring. Gate City Charter Academy only being 5 years old, one of the things we've been extremely deliberate about is just working to improve. That has been our MO, and that's been a part of our Forge Forward. And so in those improvement efforts, we've really worked to focus on data-driven PLCs, those routine PLCs where teachers have an opportunity to look at their data and making really sound instructional decisions to support student learning. Having really a strong emphasis right now on student engagement in our remote time, thinking about ways to engage students through celebrating their achievements, as well as making learning hands-on, and also having an opportunity for students to have more engaging lessons, as I mentioned, hands-on for students who are in our building or students who are working with us virtually. Another way that we've worked on focusing on those improvement efforts just include instructional focus meetings. These are really driven by data days that include all the instructional stakeholders at the table. Those are our classroom teachers, our special education teachers, those are our paraprofessionals and our interventionists coming to the table to look at student data and help make sound instructional decisions and shifts where we notice that there may be gaps or things that we can do to improve. And then the last thing that we've done in regards to our improvement efforts is just developing a really strong leadership team, a team of leaders in our building. In our newness, Gate City underwent some change in leadership. And with that change in leadership, as leadership is stabilized, now we begin to be able to invest time into developing teacher leaders and allowing those teacher leaders to help be instructionally sound and coach their peers, as well as allowing those instructional leaders to help make decisions in regards to our day-to-day operations and improvement efforts at the school level. To further outline some of the things that I'm most excited about, I want to name just how this aligns to our intentionality. It's the increase that we've seen, or the decrease that we've seen over the past couple years in teacher turnover. We've had a 28 percentage point decline in teacher turnover. We've had a 13 percentage point increase in parent satisfaction, and also been able, over the past several years, have been able to have an upward trend based on our employee engagement surveys. And so just really being able to gain stability within our school community, and really being able to have that touch each of our stakeholders, our parents, our students, our staff. Our student enrollment has maintained steady over the past couple of years, and we are financially sound. We've never had any debt and have received unqualified audits. And at the end of the day, Gate really is just a beacon of light in our community. We are working to teach students both heart and head. And we've been able to outperform sister schools that have similar makeups and demographics to us. And we consistently are just working to improve and be better. And so thank you for taking a little bit of time to let me share with you about Gate City Charter Academy, and I welcome any questions that you might have.
Can you tell me how long you've been at the school?
Yes, I joined Gate City Charter Academy in 2017 school year.
So are you the second leader of the school?
I am, yes, ma'am.
You are, okay. And then one other question I had was, I see that your enrollment is steady. Do you know the percentage of the students that return each year? Are those mostly kids that are returning?
They are mostly students that are returning. What we're beginning to see, as I mentioned, is that those families that have been with us for a period of time beginning to enroll their siblings. And this year, more than ever, we're beginning to see an increase in that, where our families are choosing to enroll their siblings and growing families are joining us. And so we've seen a consistent and steady increase there. And I don't know the specific percentage, but I'd be happy to get that information.
Okay. And you said a board member may be joining you on the call?
Yes, I was.
Do you know if they have been able to join us?
I don't see that. And this is Lori Hill, Director of School Quality, working with Gate City. Gate City experienced the sudden loss of a board member who passed, and I believe there may have been some miscommunication about who may attend.
Just sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was very abrupt at the end of last week. But this board was a founding board member, which all but one, I think, of the board members have been with us for all 5 years.
Uh-huh.
So we apologize that they are not represented today.
And for my fellow CSAB members, Gate City is currently finishing out a 5-year charter and are placed in the guidelines for another 5-year charter. I wanted to ask you all the same question at Gate City. You know, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges in that renewal for 5 years?
Yeah, I think what comes to my mind is what we've been able to do in the past 5 years. What we could do with another 5 years would only provide promise for us to be able to share more new and exciting things, and also be able to showcase for you the growth that we're able to make in the lives of our kids. And so I welcome that, and look forward to being able to continue to make an impact and showcase the things that we've been able to do within our community.
I think the most exciting thing is where we are is this kind of the story of the last few years is stabilize. So opening a brand new school from scratch and bringing together 60 strangers and really finding out who is meant for the work of building a completely brand new school and who maybe just doesn't have the grit for that work has started to work itself out. And what we see is we see stabilization now. And so that's what excites us the most for these next few years, 5 years, is taking now this committed team year after year after year who can continue this work and not have so much teacher attrition and retraining and starting from scratch. So I think that's very promising.
Right. And how about any of my fellow CSAB board members? Any questions?
This is Lynn Kroger, and I have a quick question. I'm glad to see that you do have steady enrollment, especially given our current year and situation. Do you have a wait list? And if so, how many are on your wait list?
We do currently have a wait list. The majority of our wait list are students in our K-3 band. Right now, our wait list, I want to say, is over 100 students who remain on that wait list that have that applied prior to the start of the school year, who've remained on the wait list that we've worked through.
Ms. Butterworth, this is Ms. Reeves. I also have a question. Thanks to Lori for her comments, and my question was actually for NHA and I was going to ask about the challenges and what are you doing to support the school as the EMO to hopefully the next time they come up for a renewal, be able to gain that 10-year renewal.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. That's the goal. Boy, that would be a huge celebration day. I've consistently supported the school for the last 5 years, and even if we change leadership in North Carolina at the director's level, we'll keep stability there. So number one from NHA is helping the school stabilize. Number two is providing financial incentives as Dr. Robertson may need to sustain those staff members. With retention bonuses or those types of things, just to make sure we are retaining our top talent and not losing them to a district school. Of course, professional development, and then working with our sister schools. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the story of Preeminent, who was in a very similar situation and struggled as a newer school, as a baby school. But once they stabilized their leadership, they were able to just soar. And so working with the leaders at Preeminent and implementing some of those same systems is a way that the EMO is continually supporting Gate City. And it's whatever they need. Our goal is absolutely to get that 10-year.
Lori, is Preeminent similar in demographics to Gate City?
Very similar. Yes,
okay, because I know you also have Greensboro Academy, but they're completely
they're completely different, right?
Right. Okay.
Right. Completely different.
Thank you, and keep supporting them.
Oh, I love Gate City. I absolutely love working with Dr. Robertson. It's a total team effort, and just she's amazing. She's a rock star and a go-getter. And when we talk about grit, Dr. Robertson is she's determined.
Thank you.
Any other questions from CSAB members? How about for you, Dr. Cooper?
Just want to say, the conversation was very open from the very beginning, and I truly appreciate the amount of work that they have put in as well. Schools are really putting in a lot of work during this pandemic. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dr. Robertson, and thank you, Ms. Hill. Thank y'all for being with us today. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Friend, who is going to talk with Fernleaf.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Butterworth. Do we have representatives from the Fernleaf Community Charter School on the line with us today?
We do. This is Michael Luplow, the Executive Director and Founder, and I'm joined today by our Board Chair, Sam Rule, as well as one of our administrative leaders, Kathleen Askew, and our Director of Business and Finance, Scott McDonald.
Super. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We have 15 minutes here together. And maybe what I'll start is giving you the floor in terms of just sharing with myself and the CSAB members, sort of update on where you're at and where you're headed. Just as a quick background to board members, Fernleaf Community Charter is being recommended for a 5-year renewal. The performance grade over the last 3 years has been a C. They've met growth really in the past years. I should clarify that. You see, we don't have the 2018, 2020 data. So that would be the 3 years prior to that. So I know we'll have some questions for you, but I'll turn it over to you. And maybe you can share with us sort of what's happening on your end and any questions or future direction for airport.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you all for your time today. I know that your plates are very full with new charter applicants and renewals and all of your regular business. I've already introduced the folks that are here with me, but just by way of a little bit of background information, our school is located just about 25 minutes south of Asheville. To put it into perspective, we opened in 2016 with 176 students in grades K through 3, with just 2 classes per grade level. So we are a fairly small school. We have grown by 1 grade level each year and are now serving students in grades K through 7. And during these first few years of operation, we have built an exceptionally strong school community and have rolled out an incredibly rich learning environment that emphasizes project-based learning, outdoor and environmental education, social and emotional learning, and fieldwork and overnight experiences. And all of that is in addition to our focus on community and culture. That said, for all of the wonderful community building and incredible school programming we have developed, in our first few years, we still have some work to do in meeting a really important facet of our mission, and that is academic fluency. And not only is there a gap in our academic outcomes compared to Henderson County, which is why the primary reason we fall into the 5-year eligibility category for renewal, but we're also just simply not where we want to be with that. We are making steady progress and have been chipping away at that gap, as you can see by the difference narrowing from Henderson County from 18 points to 12 to 8 over our first 3 years. And had we not been confronted by the unprecedented pandemic last spring, we're confident that we would have continued to close that gap. In honing in on how to close that gap, we have identified that while much of our reading program is strong, our primary areas of need are in math and science, and we've begun to take a number of steps to bolster outcomes in those areas and are continuing to implement a variety of strategies. In the 1920 school year, we rolled out a formal intervention program during the school day with dedicated intervention staff, as well as an after-school tutoring program, both of which are proving to be extraordinarily helpful. We also began monitoring our data more carefully, utilizing the NCDPI formative mathematics assessment in grades K2, as well as NC check-ins for math, science, and ELA in grades 3 and up. We also developed robust 5-year school improvement goals with practical strategies for how to achieve them. And we began working with teachers on developing what we call micro goals to help them understand and to help us to be able to make sure that their individual efforts are supporting the school-wide improvement goals. This year we are excited to have invested in and implemented the iReady instructional and diagnostic programs, as well as the Ready NC Math and Reading curricula, and the Discovery Education Science curriculum to help in those areas. We've also made significant enhancements to our curriculum and instruction support team, as well as our math and science staff, by bringing in people who have a proven track record of improving academic outcomes. And lastly, we are now providing weekly professional development for our staff and have rebalanced our teaching schedules to focus more heavily on math and science standards. As a result of all of these approaches, we are continuing to see positive trends. And even though we don't have EOG scores from last year, we do have some preliminary internal data from iReady that is promising. This week, As a matter of fact, we're administering the second round of our growth monitoring assessments. So unfortunately, we don't have that data to compare back to our results from September yet. But we do have some promising data from the lessons our students have been completing within iReady. We're seeing that school-wide, 87% of our students have passed 70 to 100% of their math lessons. And while we know that doesn't necessarily translate out into EOG scores eventually, it is a glimmer of hope and a positive direction. And when we break that down by grade level, we're seeing progress across the board in all grades, kindergarten through 7th grade. And while our overall school performance is not comparable to Henderson County's yet, it is worth noting that both our Hispanic and our students with disability subgroups are scoring above state levels and are comparable to Henderson County's. And our percentage of students with disabilities, however, is substantially larger than Henderson County's, as we're approaching 19% this year. So again, that's just a sample of information that supports the fact that we are trending in the right direction, particularly in the area of greatest need, which for us is math. I may be preempting one of the questions, but we understand that based on renewal guidelines that we fall into the 5-year renewal category. And since we have not had any compliance issues and have had clean audits since we've opened, the only thing keeping us from being eligible for a 7 or 10-year renewal is the fact that we don't have comparable academic outcomes to the local school system. And given our academic trajectory, our progress toward our goals, and the educational programming we have been able to build over the last 4.5 years, we are confident that a 5-year renewal will give us the opportunity to demonstrate comparable academic outcomes, and that we will be eligible for a longer renewal the next time around. So that said, I also believe that a case can be made for a 7 or a 10-year renewal, and it would give us an even greater opportunity to demonstrate our ability to increase those academic outcomes before the end of the next renewal cycle, particularly in light of the challenges associated with the pandemic. And as I mentioned, it's also worth noting that for the purposes of our charter renewal, our scores are compared to Henderson County's. And given that about half of our students come from Buncombe County and that Henderson County consistently outscores Buncombe County, we believe that our scores might have been deemed comparable if we had been located just a mile to the north within Buncombe County. But that's not to say that we're satisfied with our performance, just that we're not too far off the mark from our surrounding community.
Thank you for all of that. It was very, very helpful.
Sure.
And I'll say you knocked out the first 3 questions that I had for the response. So I really appreciate that. I was very as the greatest academic that lies ahead of you. You outline math and science strategies that you're implementing to address that. I do want to put to fellow CSAB members. One quick question, if I could, Mr. Rico. What, just out of curiosity, what plan are you guys on right now in the current school year?
What plan? We are currently fully remote with a plan to reevaluate that on to possibility of coming back on January 15th.
Okay, thank you. Fellow members, questions for Michael?
Hello, Bruce. This is Joe Mamoni here. Hi, Michael. I've known each other a long time. Had the pleasure of visiting Michael's school a couple of times, and they're doing a great job out there. And I think you make some great points about the comparability of your subgroups, particularly your EC and Hispanic population, that I believe are much more comparable, if not exceeding some of the Henderson County numbers. The big question I have is, I see you've completed building programs and assume you have all the financing and all that you need lined up for your building programs so that a 5-year renewal would not be a negative effect in terms of looking to do any additional financing, refinancing. Is that correct?
I do not believe that a 5-year renewal would impact our current loan as well as future construction plans we have, correct?
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Rita Hare, Chairman Friend, sorry. I have a couple of questions. Wondering how the parents feel about remote until January 15th. Are you getting parental feedback on that?
We have mixed parental feedback on that. We've been surveying families from early on to kind of see what everyone's needs are, how comfortable they are. And we initially, in July, had, the state average for people who were preferring to go back under a Plan B or a Plan A, I believe was in the ballpark of 30%. Ours was up at 60+%, which didn't alone inform our decision-making process, but certainly played a role. And those numbers have since come back down to be more comparable with the rest of the state. And so we have a mixed bag. We have some families that are very pleased with what the approach that we've taken. We have some that are frustrated. I will say, however, that the overwhelming majority of our families are very, very pleased with the high quality of remote instruction that we've been able to put together. And so right or wrong, we have doubled down on leaning into the quality of our remote instruction and making sure that we're preparing our teachers to be able to deliver that effectively, and feel very strongly and very confident about what we're doing there, and have received a great deal of positive feedback from our families on.
That is great, and it has to be a challenge to keep the quality up there with the remote delivery. That's my second question. Are you doing anything specific to address the students with disability subgroup, particularly while working remotely, and understand how difficult that can be to support learners who are struggling?
We are, and I wonder if Kathleen, if you might be willing to speak to that. I would say that we are doing periodic in-person activities once every other week, and I know that our EC staff is working really hard. It's all outside, but our EC staff has been working really hard to bring those students in that outside setting, and working on academic gaps with them there, and really finding a way to connect. But Kathleen, I'm wondering if you would speak to a little bit about the way our EC team has been able to support the students remotely specifically. Well, I'm not sure Kathleen was able to hear me there. Feel free to interrupt me if you do, Kathleen. But I do know that they are working hand over hand with parents to make special accommodations to schedules, to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So just to mention a little bit more about what Michael was mentioning, our in-person days.
No, we're losing Miss Askew, I believe. And I do want to note that we only have about half of the left as well. So.
Well, I'll jump back in and just very quickly to answer that we have extraordinarily high levels of communication with all of our EC families, and that involves near almost incessant text messages, phone calls, emails, and our EC staff has been working in really creative ways to make sure that we're meeting their needs. And it's not to say it's not without challenges, but we feel very strongly that we're doing a great job for those kiddos.
Great, thank you. Any other last minute questions from other CSUB members?
I just have a quick one, real quick, Bruce. This is Sherry. Mr. Luplow, what are the demographics of Fernleaf, and how do those demographics compare to Henderson County and Buncombe County?
Our demographics at Fernleaf largely mirror the community within where we are located. And so I can give you a little bit of more specifics here. So when it comes to race and ethnicity, Fernleaf, like I said, is largely reflective of the community where we are, with the exception, I will say, with the exception of a few areas. Western North Carolina is not particularly a hotbed of diversity. We are largely a Caucasian school. Our The surrounding schools in our area have the schools closest to us. The African American population is approximately 5%, 3%, and 2% at the surrounding schools, and ours is at 3%. Our Hispanic population is approximately 4%, and that is an area where we are a bit lower than the surrounding schools, which I'm seeing here are at 8 and 10%. So that is an area for us to try to increase diversity a little bit there. And we've just instituted a social equity team this year, and they are exploring ways to that we might increase access to the school and really broaden the pool of applicants, particularly with the Hispanic population.
Okay, last, we're up against that. I think we've exhausted our 15 minutes. Any other CSAB members have any questions? Dr. Cooper, anything you want to add?
Thank you. Just as a follow-up, we did have the discussion about diversity, but also an outcome. Parents are very complimentary of the EC support, so I just wanted to say that to you, Michael. But the other thing to consider is that the diversity has actually gone down from the 18-19 year. In 18-19, the population of white students was 87, and currently it's 89. So I'm not sure. I know they're going to be implementing a new program. We did discuss that during the Renewal virtual site visit. So I'll be really excited to see how, that unit takes off and what they're going to do there. As far as comparabilities, the Latino students that they serve are like only 3 points below the county. So they're right in that comparability, but their white population is 14.4 points behind as of the last official data. So moving forward, we would have to see, how that goes. But thank you so much, Mr. Letlow, for your presentation.
Thank you all for your time. Appreciate it, and look forward to coming back again.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. And good luck and stay healthy. I would say to maybe Ashley, tongue in cheek for the minutes. I think Ms. Hare referred to me as chairman friend. I am in no way capable or prepared to take that title out. That's a great job. Oh, you should get. I'm just facilitating these conversations. The next school is Union Day School, K-5 school. We have information in our packet. Union Day is also being recommended for a 5-year renewal. For the past 3 years that we have data on, which would not be the 1920 school year, Union Day has been performance grade of C, C, and B, and have met both one of those 3 years. Located in Union County, proficiency in college and career readiness scores are below the local. But we're excited to hear from them here today. Do I have a representative from Union Day with us today?
Hi, Mr. Friend. My name is Matt Hamilton. I am the principal here at Union Day School. How are you, sir?
We are doing great. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for being waiting for us here on this afternoon. Maybe what we'll do is the same kind of format as we just did. You have 15 minutes. If you could share a little bit with us about sort of current status and what you're doing as part of your school improvement, and then we'll open up to questions for CSAB members.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time today. I'd like to start by just quickly introducing my phenomenal team members who are with me today. I have Liz Spinney, she's our curriculum coordinator. I have Ms. Sujin Hughes, who is the lower head of school, and Ms. Kenitra Johnson, who is our business manager. And I'm also joined by our honorable board members, and I would like for Ms. Kirkpatrick to briefly mention them as well.
She needs to unmute.
Okay.
Looks like she's unmuted, but we're not hearing this.
Okay. So I can go ahead, and if she gets it resolved, then I'll let her chime in. But Ms. Kirkpatrick is our board chair, and we have several other board members, Ms. Mizzou, Mr. Thies, and I believe Ms. Lord is on here as well. So I'll get us rolling. Union Day is a fast-growing school here in Union County. We're located in Weddington. Right now, we currently have approximately 600 students. I know on the sheet you have, it says 577. We just added some more. So we're right at 600. And we are just rocking and rolling. I am new here to the school. I started back in the summer, June of this year. And I will say that what drew me here was the mission and vision of this school. We truly believe the community, the teachers, the board members, what our mission and our vision states, which we are going to provide a diverse, rigorous, content-rich environment for our students so they can become successful. And I believe that's what we're striving to do. Just like every other school this school year in 2020, the pandemic has thrown us plenty of curveballs to work with. But one of the things I am most proud of, and I believe our school and our community is most proud of as well, is the fact that we gave our parents a choice. We allowed them to choose whether or not they wanted to go full remote or they wanted to send their child in person every day. And that has been a lot of work on the staff, on our board, on the leadership team, and I think we have done it very well. Matter of fact, we've done a survey at the end of the first quarter, and one of the things that we're very proud of is that 80% of our parents who responded to the survey said they would recommend or strongly recommend our remote program to others. And so that was a big ordeal for us. We were very happy with that, considering this is the first time that we've ever delivered instruction in such a model. And so I think that satisfaction rate continues to go up. We're going to also survey again at the beginning of third quarter. And we've made tweaks and adjustments as we've gone through. So if you look at one of our strength areas, that is a strength. Having said that, it's also a double-edged sword for us. It's a lot of work on teachers. And so as a concern, that's a concern for teacher burnout due to all the new demands placed on them. We've done all we can do, including hiring additional support staff and additional planning times to allow teachers more time to plan and to meet with remote learners. We also have some dedicated remote teachers who work strictly with remote learners. So that has also helped a lot. So I feel like, overall, being new to the school, this school is heading in the right direction. I'm just thrilled to be a part of what's going on here. We have, from last year, the former administrator last year worked on the school culture and staff morale. They only lost 3 teachers from last year to this year. One of those was just a departure. The teacher was moving, and then 2 were non-renewals. So I feel really good about the teacher attrition here. Our BOG scores from 3rd grade look great. We've improved by 11% from last year to this year. So this year, 46% of our 3rd graders are level 3 or higher on their BOGs compared to last year. That was 11% lower last year. And right now, our MAP data is looking really positive. So right now, we are already surpassing the goals that we set in our school improvement plan by the school improvement team for our math and reading data and science. So all the metrics are looking good. Enrollment's looking great. So we feel like we're headed in the right direction.
Do you have a school improvement team or leadership team, and maybe describe who they are and what role they're playing?
Yes, sir. So we have a school improvement team that meets monthly. We have myself, our lower head of school, our curriculum coordinator. We have a K-2 rep, a 3 through 5 teacher rep, and a middle school rep. We also have a support staff, a teacher assistant, and we have 4 parent representatives. And we meet monthly. And we look at our school data, we look at MAP data, we look at survey data, and we analyze that data to make instructional-based decisions that affect our school.
Yeah, thank you for that. I want to open it up to CSEP members. You have for Union Day School.
This is Jeanette Butterworth. You may have said this, but could you talk a little bit about the percentage of your population that returns year to year in terms of enrollment?
Sure. I will actually defer that question to Ms. Johnson. She's our business manager, and she works directly with enrollment.
Great.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. For our returning population, I don't currently have the percentage that returns each year, but we do get a fairly good amount of students that return to our school, as well as they tell their neighbors and their community members about our school, which has led us to have a great wait list, a pretty healthy wait list this year. Right now, our enrollment is showing at 577 on this report, but we're currently at 585, and we'll be pulling more students off of our wait list. That brings us over that 600 mark.
And what is your optimum enrollment?
Our optimum enrollment, we want to be around that 600, 605 mark.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hamilton, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but you said you came along in June. Was that a board decision to change leadership? Can you give me a little bit of background there?
No, ma'am. So the former leader of the school, he lived a great distance from the school and was had a long commute every day. He was a great leader, was very loved by the board and the staff. It just was in his best interest for his family to move, to find a school closer to where he lived. So that was the only reason why he left.
Okay, so has that created any obstacles for you then, being that he was so loved?
No, not really. I feel as though, even though we're very different people, we both put relationships as a top priority, and I believe he did a great job of building relationships with the staff and the community, and that's one of my priorities this school year, is just getting to know the staff. So in that way, we're very similar. But I wouldn't say that the change in leadership has been a big challenge. I would say just the whole change in how we've had to do education this year in general due to the pandemic has been our greatest challenge. Operationally has been the hardest thing.
That's understandable. So what would you assess, you came in to the school as it was already established, as a new administrator looking at the school, what areas, what did you see as the weaknesses, the things that needed to be changed to get the school back on track?
Thank you. So we're in our school improvement plan, we're focused on we have 5 goals that we came up with as a team. We have a math goal, a reading goal, and a science goal. We also looked at our teaching working conditions survey, and we looked at what part of that was the lowest, and we had facilities and resources that stood out as being very low in comparison to the state and to the Union County local teaching working condition survey. And then we also had a PD need that was evident. And so our focus this year has been around those 5 goals. How are we targeting math? How are we targeting ELA, science, in our facilities, resources, and PD? We've given staff at the beginning of the year, we gave them a survey. We looked at the data, first of all, the student performance data that we have. We also gave staff a survey to see what areas of PD do they need and want. So our focus this year for PD has been what they have submitted to us in their survey. When it comes to facilities and resources, we've done a lot with that, especially with hiring support staff. Our curriculum coordinator that was brought on a couple of years ago, that has been a huge asset to this staff. And just the additional support personnel we brought on this year as a result of the pandemic, I believe our staff have truly appreciated because it was much needed. And then again, with science and math and ELA, that's a multifaceted approach to that with various things we're doing to focus on how are we working towards those goals we set in that school improvement plan.
Did you mention which benchmark assessment you use?
We're using NWEA MAP.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome.
Any other questions from CSAP? Hearing Dr. Cooper, anything from your end that you'd like to add?
No, other than, it looks like their trajectory, they're heading towards closing that gap again, which will be absolutely amazing. Mr. Hamilton has worked very closely during this process just to onboard, coming in as the new principal, handling a renewal process. That was a lot, and he took that on. So it looks like the next 5 years, it would be great to see that gap close all over again and be in the positive.
Great. Well, thank you all for your time here this afternoon. And keep up the work that you make for continuous improvement, and certainly appreciate the challenge shared around concerns of staff having to work in this very unpredictable and stressful time.
Thank you.
I just want to jump in real quick. This is Joan Mazu, Board Treasurer. We have most of the board on the call, and we just want to say thank you and that we really appreciate you giving us the time.
You're most welcome. Stay healthy.
Thank you, Mr. Friend.
Okay, the last of the renewal interviews today is with Unity Classical Chapter, located in Charlotte-Mecklenburg County, K-3 school. Do we have members of the Unity Classical with us online this afternoon?
You sure do. Hello, this is founding principal, Ms. Sheila Osagara-Goad, and I have a correction for you. We are now a K through 5th grade. We opened up as a K through 3rd grade, but we are now servicing K through 5th grade.
Thank you for that correction. It's just been updated.
No, that is fine. That is fine.
So we're going to use the same format. We have 15 minutes to use 5 to 8 of those for a CSAP members have to share thoughts and questions that you will. Maybe 5 to 6 minutes here to give us an update on the latest of its school and its work.
I'm pretty sure I understood what you meant. Friend, you were coming in and out a little bit. So if I understood you correctly, I'm going to let you know anybody who's on the call with us and share a little bit about our school, and then we're going to make sure that we allow at least about 8 minutes for questions from the board. So I would like to share with you, we have probably all of Unity Classical's board members on the call, but I would like to point out specifically or introduce to you specifically our board president, Ms. Susan Walker. I also have with us on the call 2 of my closest peers with the school to help me in running it, and that would be Mrs. Hamp, who is the director of our student services, but she also helps me with testing and data and kind of all those things that a vice principal would do. And I also have Miss Erica Blackson, who helps me with all the finances and a good majority of our operational components in running the school. So I know, bless your hearts, it sounds like you guys started at 9 a.m. and we're the last one. So I want to thank you first off for giving us the opportunity to tell you a little bit about where we started, where we are now, and where we would like to grow and go. As we stated earlier, we did open in 2016, or you gave us the AOK, you supported us in 2016. We actually opened our doors in 2017 as a K through 2nd grade school. We opened with around 95 students. Since we have grown to become a K through 5th grade school, and we have more than doubled in size. We finished this year's 120-day camp with about 245 students. We really enjoyed this process. I will admit it was a bit nerve-wracking. It is my first time ever going through a charter school renewal process. I'm a public school. My background is public school, and that also helps corporate with building universities. And then I've been in private schools, This is my first charter school, and I welcome the opportunity, and it enabled my and I to force a stop of reflection and really compare ourselves with the schools around us, our biggest district around us. What were we doing great that we needed to continue doing, but also areas where we could continue to improve. And although we do it every year, it was a unique process doing it this way, and I really enjoyed it and appreciate it. Our first thing, when Ms. Cooper came and Dr. Jones came and they were asking us questions and they spoke to all stakeholders, the three biggest areas that were brought up for us was more enrollment. And then I know we also talked about with our students and accountability, which is that testing model, and then our number one request. So that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. So starting off with enrollment, as we've shared, we started as a small school. Compared to some, we might still be, but we have big dreams and we continue to grow and grow. We've grown, in our first year of growth was like 34%. We've been now at 18%. We were, obviously COVID this year held us at another 18%, just a little bit more of growth. But also, with that, it's because of where we're currently located. We are renting a facility, but we have something to share at the end of this conversation that hopes that we'll be able to continue to grow beyond that. With students, obviously comes out testing and accountability. And we have, I can't even speak high enough about the team that we have here and the teachers, their dedication to the craft, the skill, teaching with fidelity, our curriculum. We are a core knowledge, language, arts, Singapore math school. We do have a lot of the specials, which I think aids in our academics. One thing that was noted, and I think that helped us get a state achievement for growth, was our math scores. We tend to be incredibly high with our math. In the last EOG, although it was a very small group being tested, we were about 75 with 50% already at that college readiness. That being said, although we did well in reading, we felt as we went back and reflected, this is the area that we could focus on for improvement. So as we looked back, and of course we looked at budget and what we could do and how we could do it, we decided to take some of those funds and aid in professional development for the science of reading for all of our teachers and IAs who also help in supporting with our small groups. We've had professional development in how to better our differentiated instruction, as well as how to better read data, so we would know exactly what to do in small groups, as well as in targeted interventions, as well as enrichment, where reading was concerned. We've also, coming off of COVID, decided to go into our conscious discipline professional development so that we could better aid the social and emotional components that some of our students and families were going through, as well as our staff. And we have seen really some wonderful things happening there. Another thing this year that we've been doing and we want to continue doing because it has been phenomenal is what we call the Griffin Academy. And this is where we take some of our most at-risk students and our teachers stay after school and we help them, and it's a lot of fun and you hear a lot of laughter, but there's a lot of learning going on as well. And I'm really proud of that team. They're doing a phenomenal job. And so we're just continue to push to see what can we do to become a better school. How can we continue to improve upon what we're doing? And it's the kind of questions that Ms. Cooper had posed to us that then we turned around and posed to ourselves, again, sometimes even in a different way that continue to help us in our improvement plan. However, that being said, one of the things that kept coming up, and probably the most, was facilities. we are now at a place where we felt that we could make the jump into buying our own land and building our own schools. So you will see that in our supporting materials as well. So we are thrilled to be at that point and continue to help the community that we decided to call home.
Thank you for that, and congratulations on the new expansion facility. That's an exciting time. Nerve-wracking too, having gone through it myself. Going through it right now, actually, to be honest.
Yes, and yes.
What's your year after year? What's been your percentage of students that return?
We're about 80%. Our parents are probably our biggest cheerleaders, and that to me speaks volumes. In fact, I had a parent reach out saying they have a huge thing of Santa Claus stuff. We're very supported. We do our best to partner with our families. So I think that partnership kind of aids us in standing out. So our families tend to be very loyal. That being said, we are in an area where many of our families, we're right next to Microsoft right now currently, and some government buildings. And so they do get moved to California, unfortunately, sometimes in the San Francisco area. We do have a lot of bankers sometimes too, and they move. So we do obviously have an attrition rate, but I would say about a good 80% of our families, more so with our staff, stay. And that's exciting for us.
Thank you for that. I'm going to ask my fellow board members at this time, CSAP board members, if they have any questions for you or your team. So I'll open it up to questions. You've done a great job explaining. So,
I hope that's what it is.
Dr. Cooper, anything that you want to add from your end, from your time with the team?
First, congratulations on getting a new place to go. I do know that we talked about facilities a lot during our visit there. It's a very cool building though. Board and Mr. Friend, just the thing about Unity Classical being before you today is basically they had no data. Entering the process the way they did with lower grades and then only having 1 year of testing, they're currently listed as a C school. And, you know, it just was not enough data there. And so another 5 years of time to really get to see, you know, their school test and their students perform would help them to show a real trajectory of what they're doing at that school. Saw some really cool things.
Mr. Friend, I do not want Ms. Go to feel left out, so I will ask her a question.
Please do.
Ms. Go, what are the demographics of Unity Classical? What student population are you serving?
We are a pretty diverse school. We're about 49% male, not to be specific for you, but we're 49% about male, 51% female. We're about 8% Asian, 32% Black, African American, 32% white, 22% Hispanic, and 6% multi-race.
We are very complimentary of the diversity when we discussed. I mean, it's such a wide range of students and nationalities in that school.
That sounds awesome.
It's also seen in our staff, and I'm really excited about that. Whether that's Asian, I myself am Hispanic. We have other Hispanics on the staff, white, Indian, Asian from Asian, Black. It's one thing we pride ourselves on. It's one thing that concerns me sometimes as we grow is how can we continue to be this little microcosm of our great country. And it's one thing that we strive for. And it's one reason why I love that our parents are our best cheerleaders and marketers and bringing people, because they ask their friends, and we get this great blend, as I think all charter schools, all schools should be. It's the best way we can learn from each other, communicate with each other, deal with each other. It shouldn't be when we're in college that we see somebody that looks a little different than us or talks a little different than us. So that I think is probably one of our top strengths, is the diversity of our staff and our student body.
Well, thank you again for everybody being on the call with us here this afternoon. We certainly wish you well, and thank you for all that you're doing for continuous improvement, serving the students that you are. So with that, during your time with us, we wish you happy holidays and most importantly, good health as well. So, and with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Chairman Quigley.
All right, thank you for the team leading the renewal conversations, and many thanks to Ms. Cooper for your all your work associated with this extended process and the unique nature of charter school renewals this year. So thank you. I believe we have one more month of those.
Thank you, and that's correct.
Great. So we will look forward to those next month. Dave, do you have any housekeeping items for us this afternoon?
No, I don't. Other than next month, we will hear from this, the renewal schools looking for a 7-year renewal. Then after that, Dr. Cooper, are you proposing that we vote in January?
Yes, that would be in keeping in practice of what we've done before after hearing all schools.
Okay. And then we'll take them to state board the following month.
Mr. Machado, can I ask a quick question about that, or maybe it's for Dr. Cooper or
sure.
Chairman Lee? If we felt that we wanted to change the recommendation that's been brought to us, do we at that time that we vote, is that the time that we would do it? That we might pull one and say, well, I really think this ought to be 7 or 10.
Yes, I think after the last discussion that we have next month and before you vote, that would be the opportunity to make a different recommendation.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Also, just on that, related to kind of that, Bruce, and just for the boards as a discussion point, one thing we want to consider, I believe, and I think we talked about this last month, is with our 3-year renewals. Given the COVID situation, 3-year renewals, I think there's we essentially be seeing them in 2 years with potentially not a lot of.
A year and a half. Yes. You would be seeing them in a year and a half. They would start the process over again if they enter a 3-year renewal.
So I do think that is something for us to consider, given the situation. I mean, this is one of some people maybe the pandemic would be to their benefit someday. Some people would probably, I'm certain it would be to their detriment. And, I guess that life happens. But it's hard for me to rationalize a 3-year renewal when we're going to see them in a year and a half and we're not, even if they have data from this year, I feel like it's going to be very difficult for us to evaluate that with any type of sense of equity and fairness. I just would kind of put that on the boards. I'd just be interested in the board's reaction to that kind of thinking.
And Alex, this is Dave. If I can speak really quickly, our office totally supports that. During the entire COVID issue, time, season, whatever you want to call it, every decision has always been to try to either give the student or the school some grace, and we feel like they deserve that for the reasons you mentioned. And again, if we have a school that was a 3-year recommendation, and because of COVID, we feel like they should get a 5, they could always come back to you in between those first 5 years if there's an issue that needs to be addressed. So our office totally supports what you're advocating for, Alex.
I think, Alex, as long as it's only, the 3-year was only based on academics, if they're financially viable and there's no governance issues or whatever, I'm all for that, because we still don't even know if we're going to have data this year, and how valid it's going to be is also another question.
I would concur with that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can have that conversation next round. And I will just note that I will be recusing from the entire renewal discussion next round, given Healthy Start, and I really haven't. Essentially, I guess I'll let the record show that I actually recused from this as well. I was not participating in the discussion because Healthy Start is up for renewal this year. All right. Well, if there isn't any further items, I would wish, believe it or not, 2020 is going to end. We're on the cusp of it, and we are. I know it is. I think we're all anticipating this year, for so many reasons, to be something that we put in the rearview mirror and look ahead to a healthier, a safer, and a brighter new year in 2021. That being said, I wish you all a safe and happy holiday. I thank you for pushing through. This board has persevered in a variety of ways this year. And learned a whole new way, much like our students and our teachers across the state and our nation have learned a new way to do our work. And that has not stopped us from conducting what I believe to be thorough and fair interviews. And I also just want to say extend a great deal of appreciation to all of our school leaders and charter schools and our teachers. The work of running a school in a pandemic and the work of teaching in a pandemic is nothing short of a gargantuan task. And it is exceedingly difficult to reinvent education in such a short period of time. And in large part, that has been done. In charter schools and in traditional public schools across our state and our country. It's been something of great sacrifice, and there are many that have given a lot of their time. They're given a lot of stress to the problem, given their families time. And I want all our teachers and school leaders and all those that aspire to run schools to recognize that we appreciate that. We see you, and we're grateful for all that you've done for kids. So I'll leave you with that and wish you all a happy holiday.
Happy holidays.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Yes.
Holidays.
Bye-bye. Happy holidays.
See you in 21.
That's right, 2021. Or bust.
Are you done calling me out? About the VPN. Didn't we have to redo your VPN after the election? Are you sure?